So for the past couple weeks, we've been talking about what are the core values of Ignite. We've talked about Ignite community, we've talked about Ignite prayer, we've talked about Ignite worship, and this week we finally come to the last one, Ignite compassion. Now, all the other things are so important to our spiritual life, and I think this last one is actually an outflowing of those other things. If we're igniting community and we're igniting worship and we're igniting prayer, then it makes sense that compassion would come as the last part of that. You know what the word compassion actually means? Is it comes from a Latin word that means to co-suffer with someone. Co-suffering. What does that mean? It basically means that if you see somebody suffering in your life, how many people do we see in our lives that are suffering with issues, that don't have things, that need some things? And compassion says, I'm going to come alongside you and I'm going to be a part of your suffering. And in being a part of your suffering, I'm going to provide whatever I can to help get you out of that place of suffering. Jesus in the Gospels tells a story about he had a friend named Lazarus, and he hears that Lazarus is sick, and so he and his disciples go to meet Lazarus and his family. And when he gets to the town, Lazarus has actually died. And Lazarus' family, Martha and Mary, come and they try to talk to Jesus, and they say, you know, if you would have been here, Lazarus wouldn't have died. We know you could have done something about this. And there's a passage I want to read you in the midst of it, because it comes to a point where they're crying and they're weeping because they miss their brother. And Jesus, this is what it says about Jesus. When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come along with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. Where have you laid him? He asked. Come and see, Lord, they replied. And then verse 35 says, Jesus wept. Even Jesus, the God of the universe, when he saw friends of his that were suffering and being a part of things that were hurting them, he saw them and he had compassion. He was suffering in spirit. And the shortest verse in the entire Bible, but maybe the most profound, is verse 35. It says, Jesus wept. He had so much compassion for them that he wept. And he suffered alongside them. And then if you know the rest of the story, Jesus goes on to bring Lazarus back from the dead and do something incredible for their family. So what does Ignite Compassion mean for Ignite? I think it means that we need to look and constantly look for people in our lives that are suffering, that are going through tough times, that need things. Maybe it's that homeless guy on the street that we've seen a long time and just passed him by. Maybe it's somebody we work with, maybe it's somebody at school, maybe it's a family member even that's sick. But who is it in our lives that needs compassion? Then we need to come alongside them and be a part of their suffering, and then provide whatever we can to help them get out of the situation they're in. And we're going to do some events together as Ignite to bring compassion and service to Ignite as well. But I'm excited to see what happens when, through our community and our worship and prayer, we start to become compassionate and we start to reach out to those in need.